You're listening to the Business Building Rockstars Show, where your host, Nicole Holland, gets the lowdown from today's most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs on what it really takes to reach rockstar status.
Hey there, entrepreneur. This is Nicole Holland, and you're listening to episode 8 of the Business Building Rockstar Show. Today's episode is brought to you by my brand new membership community, the Tough Cookies. If you're an entrepreneur or want to become an entrepreneur and you're looking for resources and networking in a safe and fun environment, then the Tough Cookies might be right for you. Each month, you'll get access to one live group coaching call with me, Nicole Holland, a facilitated live training by myself, and also a live facilitated training by one of my Rockstar guests. You'll also have 24/7 access to our private Facebook group, plus tons of little surprises that I like to throw in just because I'm all about over-delivering. For more information about the Tough Cookies, you can visit bbrshow.com/cookie or grab that phone and text the word cookie to 33444. Again, that's COOKIE to 33444, and I will send you more information. On today's episode, Jamie Sullivan and I sit down and talk about living in congruence, how to align what you're doing with who you're being. We look at how childhood experiences can shape you as an adult and how to let go of past hurts. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey there, entrepreneur. Welcome to the Business Building Rockstar Show. I'm hanging out today with Jamie Sullivan, who is part weaver of dreams, part clown, part lover, and all woman. Jamie is a certified master clinical hypnotist, a permaculture designer, and a birth doula. She's trained with a mentor in archetypal psychology and imaginative therapy and has spent the last 13 years of her life on her own development and life design. She's used both the schools of good and hard knocks to learn her life's lessons. Jamie lives with her partner, Brady Patterson, on the west coast of Canada, where they work and create together. She is sparkly clear and deeply calming love wrapped into one brilliant package, and I'm so excited to have her here with us today. Jamie, are you ready to rock?
Absolutely, Nicole.
Awesome. So why don't you let our listeners know a little bit more about what it is you do now day to day, how you help clients, how you help people, and why you're a rock star entrepreneur.
Let's deal with the first question. The first question is how I help people on a day-to-day basis. And essentially that can be boiled down to I help people experience and achieve what they want to. So we fill in the gap. The way I do that is on the inside world, dealing with the subconscious, programs, patterns of belief, creating habits, and really setting yourself internally up for success so that it's easy and graceful to achieve and experience what you really want.
Awesome. I love that. And how did you find that this was your calling? Like, you've done so many different things. What made you realize that this was a needed specialty?
I was always really good at noticing the disconnect between what someone wanted and who they were and how they were actually living. And I noticed that from really early on. And so I started just naturally being really solutions oriented and really looking at how to fill in the gap, how to create more congruency so that what you actually want and who you are matches what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And essentially that brings happiness, peace, bliss. That's kind of where I started. It was that simple.
That's so cool. So tell me, is this something you always wanted to do? Or, when you were little, when you were really young, was there any similarity in your dreams to what you're doing now? Or did you want to do something completely different?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty on par. I think the two things I did most of the time when I was a kid was, one, I was super nurturing. I wanted to make everybody feel good. I just wanted to be the mama. And the other thing was I was super strategy oriented. I loved climbing to the top of the tree. I loved playing war games in the forest with all of our friends. I loved the adventure and the challenge. And then the other half was that nurturing. So the funny thing is, the older I get and the more honestly, I just trusted and allowed things to unravel every year. I observed myself and noticed what I was most drawn to, and I would learn and gain skills. And eventually I learned how to bring both of those things, that really nurturing, caring aspect of me and that kind of fiery, strategic, adventurous challenger part of me, and I merged them together. And that's how I kind of approach my life now.
That is so awesome. And you are basically articulating something that maybe listeners have picked up on by now, but I haven't really clearly articulated until now. But one of the questions that I ask a lot of my guests is about what they wanted to be when they grow up. And what I find is for myself and for most of the successful entrepreneurs I've studied, we are who we are as children before everything externally tells us that we can't do what we feel drawn to do. It's not possible. And we start learning about all the roadblocks and then people go in different directions. And eventually, once they've really found that bliss that you speak of, I find they always, or at least in what I've been able to learn so far, I find that when people really are truly, truly happy and successful, it's because they've reconnected with that original passion and power. And so I love how you explained that nurturing and that strategy focus and how it manifested in your life as a child and how now it is as well.
I think one of the best places always to go is back to the inner child. I mean, a lot of people look at it as kind of corny and woo-woo, but you know what? That corny, lovey, mushy, fuzzy feeling stuff can be really useful and super practically effective at creating business and a life that you love.
Absolutely. And when you do inner child work, because that is part of what you do, is that right?
Yep.
So when you go in and support somebody in inner child work, what does that look like? Like, because I imagine it could be there could be some resistance. People could be scared. They could be like, whoa, I lived in the past. I don't want to go back there. There was some bad shit that happened. So how do you approach it in a way that people do feel that nurturing and safe to explore and move forward?
Well, definitely the first and most important thing is I think it's not that serious. What we choose to do, whether we choose to face our fears, we choose to create new endeavors and challenges for ourselves, or we just want to be what psychology calls the happy carrot. You're just going to live a nice, simple, content life. It doesn't really matter. The choice is yours. And that creates a feeling of safety for someone. There's no pressure. There's no serious, the world is going to end commitment. It's just, do you want it? And if you really do, if your heart really wants it, then maybe it's worth putting attention on. So that's where I start. And then from there, it's kind of like, getting somebody to realize that at one point in time, you actually were a child and you did have needs and desires and dreams. And chances are, for most of us, those didn't really get met. They didn't get met. You had needs that didn't get met and dreams that maybe fizzled out, or we kind of retract a little bit thinking that we can't really have what intrinsically and instinctively we know we want and we know we can have. So I really create an environment of safety and I make it really light, even though sometimes it's really not all that light, but I do my best. And then you kind of just get in there. From my perspective as a hypnotherapist, we're really dealing with subconscious stuff. So it's really getting your thinking brain, the part that is really good at strategizing, off on a holiday for a little while. Because we all need a little thinking brain holiday anyways. And once we get a person into flow, so you're really trusting and feeling good, and you really are clear that you want what you want, and we can sense that, everybody has that. Everybody has that awareness inside their body that there's something there. There's something more that they're striving for or yearning for, or you just kind of recognize that there's something more. And it's really, it doesn't say a lot. It's kind of general, but everybody knows what I'm saying. People know what I'm talking about when they're like, there's something more. I know it. I can feel it. I sense it. And getting them to that place where you can actually realize that you are having a conversation with a younger version of yourself and that you can actually help that younger version. You can teach them, you can listen, you can understand, you can guide. That's really empowering. And that creates a lot of opportunity and a change in perception, really.
So true. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about now your own journey in becoming an entrepreneur. Have you always felt the draw to work for yourself, or did that come about over time?
I had no idea really that I could even be an entrepreneur. Really, my drive has been, for the most part, towards freedom and my own personal sense of freedom. I have some authority issues. So I really need to feel like I have autonomy and I have choice and options and I can execute my creativity as it comes up. So for me, entrepreneurship wasn't really what it was about. It was about freedom. It was about me being able to express myself and my body and my purpose in the way that it was coming and being expressed to me so that I could listen to my own body. I could listen to my ideas and the inspiration that was coming to me uninhibited. And that's what my driver was.
Very cool. So now, did you have a job before ever, or have you always sort of done things just independently?
Oh yeah, I had a job. I worked at a hospital working in surgical stuff for about maybe 10 years. I traveled a few of those years, but I had a job, and all of that while I had a job, I was through my adventures. I've traveled a lot. I've had some amazing mentors in my life, and through that, I realized that I did have all of those options that I thought I did when I was a kid. So I thought I did when I was a kid. I was pretty aware of, the world is my oyster. And then moments happened and experiences happened and I interpreted them a certain way, and I kind of forgot. I forgot that light and that sparkle and that I really could live exactly the way I wanted to, whatever that was. And through personal development, really, and mentorship and traveling and seeing the world and all of the different ways that people live, I just remembered. And once I remembered, that was it. Once I remembered, all it was getting the tools, the self-awareness, and putting it into place, putting it into action day by day. And that was it. I was on my way.
Very cool. So you say once you remembered, was this a gradual process or sort of a light bulb moment?
For me, actually, I think it was a light bulb moment. I always had that feeling. That awareness that there was more in my body, but I kind of thought, well, I guess, I don't know, the environment and the people around me are kind of telling me that I'm probably a little bit off. So it's best to just focus on security and the little house and the white picket fence, and I'll make the most of it, even though that wasn't entirely suitable for me. And I think when I was traveling in Australia, I was maybe 24, just turned 25. And I don't think I was walking down the street or something and really connecting to all of the opportunity and the color and all of the different businesses that were around and the kinds of people. And it was almost like, oh, hey, I was right in the very first place. I was right. And that was it. It was really a light bulb moment, a remembering, and then things started changing.
Cool. And when you had that kind of awakening light bulb moment, what was the first thing you did in terms of shifting, action shifting? Like, what did you do differently from that point forward?
Great question. Actually, one of the first things I did was I was in a city called Melbourne in Australia, and I started looking for little local classes. I was traveling. I didn't have a lot of money. So I was looking for little classes that were either free or minimal charge that could start educating me. And the first thing I chose was meditation. So I took a meditation class. And then I realized, ooh, I love this. I love this feeling. I love that we can earn an income and contribute to the world in these different ways. And then I focused on meditation, and I focused on asking everybody that I met that year so many questions. What do you do? How did you do it? How did you find your inspiration? And I asked a lot of questions. And that was my first year. It was just really asking a lot of questions of how everybody approaches their life differently.
Nice. Interesting. And then you mentioned that you've had a number of amazing mentors. Is there one in particular that really had a huge impact on your life overall and on your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She was a firecracker. I spent about 3 years of my life with her, and I was really always fiery and definitely very sweet and sensitive, but I was pretty naive, to be honest. And when I started working with this woman, her name is Geraldine Midas. She's absolutely committed to her beliefs and her values. And she would call me on my stuff over and over and over again and consistently make me look at the things in my life that I didn't know I could be accountable for. I didn't even know that I could be accountable for the experiences I was having, the pain I was having, the things that I wanted that I wasn't going after. And she was huge. I was consistent. I put my money out. I did the work, and I built up my personality so that I felt like I was being me. I had power. And that was the biggest thing that she gave to me. And it is an everlasting gift. I have power. I have my own choice and I can execute my power. And that is worth everything.
That's incredible. And if you were going to give someone feedback on how they could find a mentor that's that powerful for themselves in their lives, what advice would you give?
Really, I keep it simple. Follow your intuition. That's it.
Cool. Awesome. So again, going back, this journey, 24, it's been a while. What, if you could go back 10 years, like if time travel were a possibility, what would you go back and tell Jamie 10 years ago about what's to come? What she should, or what she could know now to empower her to move forward over the next 10 years?
Oh my goodness. Definitely it does not have to be perfect, which I think so many would-be entrepreneurs, that's what stops them. They have to get all their ducks in a row. Everything has to look good. Bullshit. It doesn't matter what stories or emotion or pain is there. You can handle that and deal with that and love and nurture yourself and take action to create what you want to create.
Awesome. I love it. And it's something that I also notice a lot is that there is that, it's called sometimes analysis paralysis, where we're thinking all the time about what we're supposed to do. We hear lots of advice from different places. And something that I think is important to recognize is advice is good. I ask for your advice. I ask for each person on my show's advice. I give advice. And it's all different though, not all of it, but the beauty of that is that when you're listening for advice, I think it's really important to listen to who speaks your language. We all have different opinions. And, today is my recording day, and you are interview number 5 today. And of the people who I have already interviewed today, I have differing opinions with all of them, and many of them had differing opinions with each other. So we could talk about the exact same topic and what's the most effective way to do X. And everybody is going to have a different opinion, and they're going to be very strong in their opinion, because they have had the experience that it works.
Exactly.
The thing is, I think we fall into is when we're starting out and when we're looking for a mentor, when we're looking for direction, is that we're going, okay, I'm going to go to everyone's webinar on this topic. Okay, I'm going to get all this information. I'm going to sign up for everybody's list, get all the freebies. No, stop, slow down, and just listen with, I'd say, an open mind, an open heart, and open ears, and find somebody who's speaking a language that resonates with you, and then hone in on just that message and see if it serves you. And if it does, keep going down the rabbit hole. And if it does not, then find somebody else. You don't owe it to anybody. You sign up for somebody's list. Do not feel bad about hopping off. I had somebody in my community actually wrote me an email letting me know they just got off somebody's list or some people's list from my summit. And she wrote, sort of apology letters. And she may be listening right now. And I just want to say so much love to you. But the thing is that you don't have to apologize. And if somebody is offended that you get off their list, that's their problem. Don't feel bad. So find somebody who's speaking your language, follow them, ask them questions. And as long as, like you said, it feels good in your intuition, then keep on going. But don't follow the advice, the well-meaning, very brilliant advice of people who are living a completely different model than you are.
Oh, and everybody has different values and different standards for themselves. So it's incomparable.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
I want to say one thing to that, please.
Sure.
I really think that if we were to use a metaphor that there's this beautiful lake and on one side is this wonderful warm rock that you can bathe on and suntan on and just jump off and swim. And then on the other side of this lake is this awesome cliff and it looks exciting. And there's people over there and they're jumping off and they're having a hoot. And you so dearly want to go over there, but maybe you're scared to swim. Maybe you don't know if you can make it. You have the endurance. It's really first and foremost about knowing that you want that experience. So being on that one rock, suntanning, it's nice and casual, a little bit relaxed, and you want to get over. You want to be the person that can jump off that cliff. It's about knowing what you want. And then you got to know yourself well enough to know how to get yourself there. You don't have to go the same way everybody does. You don't have to have the endurance to swim like a professional. You could float on a life jacket. You could walk around. You could do anything that you want to do. You have to know that you want that experience. And then you need to know yourself well enough to know how to get yourself there. That's it.
That is so perfect. So perfect. And too many times we get caught up, I think, and I'm including myself here. We get caught up in the how of something rather than really just focusing on, no, I'm going to get there. And the how is as long as I allow myself to know myself and figure out which way would be best, it'll evolve. We don't have to see all of the steps ahead, just the next. Sweet. So you are not very, what's the word? Technologically inclined. Is that right?
Absolutely.
What has been the biggest challenge for you breaking into the online entrepreneur world as somebody who's used to being in a clinic, who's used to seeing patients and clients directly one-on-one?
The biggest challenge, I think, has been my mind. My preference and my, I guess my purpose in life is to really connect to people, to really connect and ignite inside of them that feeling that they matter. Everything about them matters. And I know how to do that beautifully in person. So when I was thinking about all the techie part of it, I was perceiving it as kind of like a block between myself and them. And for me, I was kind of perceiving it as a lesser quality of love. And I know that sounds a bit corny, but it's the way I was perceiving it. And what helped for me was understanding, really putting myself in somebody else's shoes and understanding how much guidance and wisdom and love and motivation I've received from reading a book or a quote or a blog or an online course or working with a mentor via Skype, that there's been so many little perfect things along my way that have helped me really live fully and completely who I am on a day-to-day basis, that as long as I remember what it's about for me, that it is about connecting and it is about creating a certain kind of experience in life and helping more and more, not only women, but men too, just feel good about who they are and where they're going. And I want people to be celebrating themselves. And so as long as I remember that, I get myself through the techie part. I find out who I need to help me. I'll hire somebody. I will make the money I need to pay someone, or I will spend hours figuring it out. I'll do whatever I need to because I am clear why I'm doing this next step.
That's so fantastic. And when you say that, it brings up another thought in my mind, which is, I think we get caught up sometimes in not only getting online, but charging a certain amount or asking people to pay us for something, and valuing ourselves properly. Because, I know that I have invested in a lot. I have paid a lot of money and I've bought a lot of things, even if I didn't know for sure they were going to be the right things, just to test out. And then when I have gone to put something out, sometimes I have allowed myself to not charge or to not put something out fast enough or as fast as I could, I should say, because I have this, imposter syndrome or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, I don't know if it's going to be good enough. And then I have to catch myself and be like, wait a minute. I have invested in things that weren't necessarily great, and I still got value from them. So if I put something out with the intention that I am putting it out with love and with I'm not putting it out to try and scam somebody. I'm putting it out to try and support somebody. As long as I think I put that intention into it, it works every time. And it's just beautiful and people love it and they get so much value out of it. But I know I've held myself back, and I see this time and again with clients as well, who hold themselves back with these preconceived notions of what should be without stopping and looking at the path they're walking, what they did to get there. And when you said that, you know, how you've been supported, even though it hasn't been face to face, but you've been supported through books and blogs and online programs and stuff. It's like, wait a minute, why can't you give people that same love and support in this new way?
Yes, and then more yes. And really, every single person has a position or a part to play. I mean, accept it or not, you don't have to play that part. I think life is all about choice. But if you do want to play that part and listen to your intuition and follow your instincts, man, there is something that feels really fulfilling about that on a day-to-day basis. When you fulfill and follow your instincts and your intuition, that feels good. Our bodies work well, your skin glows, your mind and thoughts are clear, and you actually create results. And when I think of it, I'm like, the bees all have a purpose. Not everybody is a queen bee. Some of them are worker bees. And when there's ants, there's the army ants and the teeny little building ants and the one that has baby ants. Like, we all have a different purpose. And so when it comes to money, that's just what we're using to create harmony and homeostasis in the world. It's just what we're using to keep cycles going and growth and innovation. But really, we're all supposed to be doing what we're inclined to do. That's the way I look at it. And so I just follow my own intuition, because I think it's more than just me. I don't think it's personal.
No, totally. So universal. So you mentioned books. What's your favorite book of all time?
Okay. I would have to say Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's a pretty intense read. And it's more for women, although I really think the message of it applies to men and women. But Women Who Run with the Wolves is really good. I loved it because it created a lot of self-awareness, and it really helped me recognize some of the things that I was feeling that I could never understand, and created a desire in me to heal some dysfunctions, I guess, if we're going to be honest, for myself, my family. And it's beautiful. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful book.
Nice. What is the best thing you ever did to simplify your life as an entrepreneur?
Oh, the best thing I ever did. And I still struggle with this from time to time. But by and large, the best thing I ever did was teach myself wholeheartedly to follow my own instinct. Period.
Yeah, awesome. And what would you do if you had an entire month with no clients, nothing to do? Brady also had no clients and nothing was required of him. Money was no object. What would you do? Where would you go?
Well, at this point in time, I just had a brand new niece. So I would be right smack in Ontario, where my family is from, baking and serving, nurturing, caretaking for the people that I love.
Oh, that's so sweet. Jamie, thank you so much. This has been a ton of fun hanging out. Why don't you let us know before we go? You've got some really cool stuff you're up to. Why don't you let us know about that? And then we'll wrap up with how our listeners can connect with you.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm just wrapping up a really sweet program. We're calling her Glow. And really, it's about, if you, especially as an entrepreneur, really want to get back to basics for peace and passion, and you want to build a bit what I was talking about self-awareness, so that your results flow and your inspiration and kind of instincts are easier to follow when you're building your business and really going for results. then this is a beautiful program. It's a really basic, simple program to bring you back to your center, what's important to you, help you get some really clear self-awareness, and really so that everything else in your life flows, because flow is good. And at time of recording right now, we're just wrapping up the website, so I don't quite have the URL, but I can give that to you so you can have it on your show notes.
Perfect.
And in the meantime, you can find me on Facebook at Jamie, Jamie Sullivan.
Nice. And we can link to your Facebook page as well in the show notes, and to your website once you have that link for me. And you can find that, listeners, at bbrshow.com and right there on the show notes page. Jamie, thank you so much for your time. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. This is what it's about, right?
Absolutely. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, be sure to let me know on Twitter using the hashtag #BBRShow. You can also express your love by reviewing the show on iTunes, and if you're catching this during our launch window, head on over to bbrshow.com/launch to pick up a super juicy gift from me to you as my way of thanking you for your support. Today's episode was brought to you by the Tough Cookies. You can find out more about this brand new membership community led by me at bbrshow.com/cookie, or text the word cookie to 33444. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to talking with you again on episode 9, where my guest Roger DeVoe talks with me about how to make people want to buy your products. Tune in then.
And there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Building Rockstars Show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss a thing. And visit bbrshow.com for all the show notes and links to resources discussed on today's show. Plus, lots more.